All right, sounds good.
Oh, that sounds like Jake and Joel's music.
Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are tier listing tutors, EDH tutors, in this video here today. But before we can get into that tier list, if you would, go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out.
It's the best way to support the channel with just the click of a button. We started doing our tier lists here on stream, so make sure that you're subscribed. That way you can find out when we're streaming. You can come join us while we make some videos. Today we're talking about all of the cards that search a card and put it directly into your hand. We're going to rank them from S rank, which is the best, all the way down to what, which means why does it exist, and when would you ever in a million years even give it a chance. Joel, did I cover everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump over into this real fast. So what we've got here is a list of, we pulled tutors that will find any card in your deck. No restriction on what card it can find in your deck. Now, what you will see as we go through these tutors is that they don't all necessarily pull any card out of your deck and directly into your hand. They will pull any card out of your deck and it might go anywhere. It might go to your hand, to graveyard, to the top of your library, to exile even. And that is sort of the reasoning that we used to pick this batch of cards. I think that is what we've got. If you want to play along at home, the link to this tier list, this exact tier list that we're going to be using here.
Any card. Sorry, it is not two-hand. It is any card, correct?
Any card, yes.
Sorry.
That's right, yeah. Any card to any location. It could be, like I said, top of library, exile, hand, graveyard. You know, the possibilities are endless. Alex, thank you for that subscription. If you want to play along with this tier list on Tier Maker, we have the link to this tier list in the description down below. Go down there and rank the tutors how you think they should be ranked and tweet them at us at JakeJoelMTG on Twitter so that we can compare lists. I think that's what we got, Jake. You ready to get into this?
I think I'm ready to get into it. Some of these we're going to talk about and give some time, and other ones are going to be pretty obvious, and we're going to be able to rank them quickly. Yeah, dude, let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's jump right into it. We're going to start with Bringer of the Black Dawn. Jake, we'll just go back and forth. Black, 7 for a 5/5 Bringer. You can pay one of each mana color rather than pay its mana cost. It's got trample, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 2 life. If you do, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it.
Yeah, so extremely expensive card, and in Commander, it needs to be... we are talking about these cards from the aspect of Commander. In Commander, right, this card needs to be in a 5-color deck. So for me, it's very bad. One card that I think that we should start the tier list off with is Diabolic Tutor. Because Diabolic Tutor is just kind of like the medium ground of like what like a tutor spell is. It's not great by any means, but it's like kind of like the basis at which, you know, we base these. And so Bringer of the Black Dawn, I think it's just way too expensive in order for it to be any kind of good at all. Now, if you were able to reanimate it, then great. I think it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this for me is a what, unfortunately. It has to land, it has to untap, and you only get to put the card on top of your library, meaning you have to go all the way back around again or draw a card, which is not that difficult, to get that card into your hand. So for me, Bringer of the Black Dawn is a what. Jake, if you want to jump ahead a little bit, we can look at Diabolic Tutor. Black, 2 other for a sorcery. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, shuffle your library.
Yeah, and I would say that as far as this tier list goes, it's like very average. And so the average for me would be like a C or a B. It's a playable, fine card. I would put it at C.5, but for the sake of the tier list, let's just rank Diabolic Tutor as a B. For B, I would say it's like barely playable. That's like what the B stands for me in this situation, is just like, it's a barely playable budget tutor. B for budget, B for barely even possibly a good card to make it into an EDH deck. But for a casual deck, I think it's a fine card, and I think it's the kind of card where if you don't have the money for a demonic tutor, if you don't have the money for vampiric, then sure, it's a fine tutor, and it's going to find you something. If you're playing it in ramp, like a Jund ramp deck, yeah, you're paying 4 mana, it's probably a drop in the bucket, and you can go find exactly what you need.
Before we move to Doomsday, I do want to make a point. I misspoke. Bringer of the Black Dawn does do this ability at the beginning of your upkeep, so it is before you draw the card. It doesn't have to go all the way back around or draw the card to get the card that you're tutoring. I did misspeak on that, but it does need to reach your next upkeep to trigger that ability, so I still think it lives in what. I just want to make sure that I got the ruling on that correctly. Jake, tell us about Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday, 3 black for search your library and graveyard for 5 cards and exile the rest. Put the chosen cards on top of your library in any order. You lose half your life rounded up. It's a super duper big combo card. Most Doomsday piles end with winning the game on the next turn. So, yeah, it's a very, very strong, very powerful card.
Yeah, so you can't just play this in a casual deck, right? Like, I wouldn't build an EDH deck for a brand new player and put Doomsday in it, because they're not going to have
Doomsday combo. That's
exactly
what you build.
Exactly right. And so I feel like just because this is such a CEDH staple and high power card staple, that I want to drop it in S tier.
Yeah, it's an S.
But I do want to acknowledge that this is not a card that could be in like a pre-constructed commander deck. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. And there's a reason why it holds a low price point. You know, it's crept back up since it's been reprinted, but
right.
It is a very niche effect. And
Arturo in chat.
You have to be sweaty. Like, it is a sweaty card.
Oh, it's a sweaty as hell card. Arturo makes a good point. It's more a win condition than a flexible tutor. It absolutely is not a flexible tutor. But again, for the purposes of EDH, I think that this is an S for in-franchise players. Whereas for like a new player, this is more of a C or a what, right? Like, it doesn't even play. But yeah. Just because of its power level, I think it has to sit at S for us.
So let's talk saying about an A, 8.5. Well, guys, you know what? We don't normally give out S's, and I think with Doomsday, just because of its power potential,
yeah,
maybe I do like the limitation, Joel, and I think that does kind of like rein it back in, because I know that there's going to be at least one S in this pile of cards.
Sure.
And so I do think because of the limitation and because of that it is okay to bring it back.
Okay, yeah, I like it at A2. Let's talk about Foresight.
Yeah, go ahead and read it for us.
1 blue, 1 other sorcery speed. Search your library for any 3 cards and remove them from the game. Shuffle your library afterwards. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep.
Yeah, so Mist Hollow Griffin comes to mind. But again...
the Eldrazi that you can play from exile.
Yeah. Like, those are the kind of things that you would quickly pair with this card. I think it's very niche, but I think it plays nicely. For me, it would be like a B. It would be like a B or less.
I feel like it's I think it's a C. Are you comfortable with it at C?
Yeah, I'd be fine with a C. It's not an unplayable card. There's nice cards that you can pair with it, but again, it's very niche. So the cards that you're picking with it are probably going to be the same number of cards, depending on, just like the best in slot cards that you can play from exile.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Diabolic Intent. I'll go on this one. 1 black, 1 other sorcery. Additionally, you have to sacrifice a creature to cast it. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle your library.
Yeah, I think it's a good card in certain situations. It's just another version of Demonic Tutor. It's just tacked on to sacrifice.
And all you got to do is create a Thrall token. This card in Tevish is like a no-brainer.
Is really good. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like easy A for me. Right. Yeah, I think that's a fair.
Does having to sack a creature move it down from S to A? For me, I would say yes, because anytime, it's like It's like the golden rule, right? Of when you build a card that has a restriction like this, whenever you want to cast it, you're gonna have this board that you have nothing on. You know, if you're just after a board wipe and you want to go search something up, Diabolic Intent isn't going to let you do that. That plus sorcery, making it lose like a half a point for me is...
dude, and honestly, and we're seeing it pop up a lot in chat, and I agree, and I was going to bring it up as well, but it is, in certain situations, sacrificing is not a downside. Right. So, I think it's going to be A alongside Demonic Tutor. I think they're both going to be A's.
And Doomsday, you mean?
Well, no, I mean, we're going to get to Demonic Tutor as well. Let's talk about Limdolls here.
Yeah, 1 black, 1 blue, instant speed. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. As many times as you choose, you can pay 1 life. Put those cards on the bottom of your library, then look at the top 5 cards of your library. Then shuffle your library and put the last cards you looked at this way on top of it in any order.
Yeah, Limdolls is just such heat. And it's so funny because I remember our buddy Biff, like years ago being like, Limdolls vault, guys, trust me, Limdolls vault.
Yeah, Biff was the first guy to bring this to our play group. And when we saw it the first time, we were like, this is dumb. You have to pay life. You don't want to pay life just to put the top 5 cards on your library in any order. Turns out that is a very good effect. And at instant speed, you can do this at the end of opponent's turn, right before you go. This card is an absolute house.
Yeah, it's a really good card. I'm sorry, I'm like reading chat. I'm like laughing while we're evaluating the card. No, I think it's a easy A, just because it's one of those cards where you like dig, and you get your pieces that you need. And so, yeah, it's a very, very strong card. Let's talk about a card that's like a very easy S coming up here.
1 mana, instant speed, search your library for any card, shuffle your library, put it on top, lose 2 life. S.
Yeah, it's just an S. And I know that people are saying A, but it's just that instant speed, the fact that you can EOT, put the card on top, to me, that's as good as putting it in the hand. Now, clearly, there's going to be some people that are able to manipulate the top there, but I don't think there's any way that we could give Vampiric anything short than an S. And we could call it an S minus or whatever, but I just think...
I'm seeing everything from A+ to S+ and everything in between in chat right now. So I think that one's pretty much nailed there. Chris, Jamie, Alex, thank you for those subscriptions. Let's talk about increasing ambition, Jake. This is another one I remember from early days of our play group. 1 black, 4 other. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand. If you cast it from your graveyard, search your library for 2 cards, put those cards in your hand, and it's got a flashback of 8.
Yeah, I love anything with flashback. In EDH, it's the kind of thing it really... what is the colloquialism that you always use? Tickles my funny bone. It's a really good card. I like the flashback cost on it. However, it's high cost, so it's very casual. It's very medium to me, and I would rank it at probably about a C. Like a solid C for me. I would play it in a deck just for the flashback. It's fine.
Yeah, you're paying 1 more mana over Diabolic to get the card the first time, but then you're paying essentially twice Diabolic Tutor to get 2 cards. I want to say that I would say it's a B, but I would say it's a B minus, so I'm comfortable giving Increasing Ambition a C. Tell us about Final Parting.
Yeah, 2 black, 3 other for sorcery. Search your library for 2 cards, put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. So for any kind of deck, this reminds me of like Gerard's Orders. Any kind of deck that's running graveyard synergy, this is a really nice card that's going to help with that kind of deck. I would rank it at like a A or a B, just based off of the kind of synergy that's built in within it. I think it's really nice, and it's nice to see a card from Dominaria that actually is really good. It's a nice card in EDH, from
right? And at uncommon, so it's going to be obtainable forever. I think that it's a solid B for me, so I'm comfortable putting it at B because it's not instant speed. If this was instant, this would be an easy A for me.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just high cost. It's a high cost spell. Right. It's a casual card. But again, that graveyard...
But 1 more mana over Diabolic? Right, exactly. To get your card that you need in the graveyard easy It's a slam dunk of a good 5-card cost, you know. Talking about precons, this is a card that I would put in a new player's deck to teach them about graveyard as your second hand, essentially. Sidisi Undead Vizier, 2 black, 3 other for a 4/6 zombie naga. Death Touch, and it's got Exploit, which is whenever this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. If it exploits a creature, I should say, you may search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So,
yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a nice effect on a creature. It's a little high cost, right? But it's good.
It's a little bit of like Diabolic Intent, where you're paying the sacrifice a creature part, and like chat said, in the right situation, that's not going to be a downside. It's
literally Diabolic Intent tacked onto a dude, and the fact that it has Death Touch as well can't be ignored. I think it's a fine card, and I think A is a strong. I think that's a good, fair. There's going to be a lot of A's in this video. A lot of these tutors are good.
Yeah, we'll see. Wishclaw Talisman is a 1 black, 1 other artifact, enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. 1 mana, tap it, remove a wish counter from it. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle. An opponent then gains control of Wishclaw Talisman. Activate the ability only during your turn.
So it gets better with cards like Opposition Agent that were just printed. I'm sure that's absolutely what everybody's thinking about right now is Opposition Agent. Is Scheming Symmetry also comes to mind. We're going to be reviewing that card as well. I think the card is fine, but we can't just look at it and say, well, we're always going to have Opposition Agent. And so with that, for me, I think it's a nice political card in EDH. Yeah. So I have to give it some political points, which is nice because an opponent gains control of it, which means that you're going to get to pick which opponent gains control of it, right? I mean, based on that wording.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, for me, I'm just like, easy B. It's like easy a B.5 for me.
Yeah, I think it's a B+, but I think it leans more towards the B side of the fence. So I think it falls onto the B side. How about Jake, an 8-cost demon?
It's kind of contingent. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about that card. Razaketh the Foul-Blooded, 3 black, 5 other for an 8/8. Demon, flying, trample, pay 2 life, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. So this card is absolute gas, 100% gas.
You can stick it.
If you can stick it, baby. That's it. And it is high cost.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's in black, so you're playing in a color that gives you reanimate. So
yeah, but
you can
bring it cheap. The thing is, we can't always look at a high cost creature and say, but if reanimate, like
that's true. That's true.
So for me, that holds the card back from the S, just like right off the bat. I think it's a very strong card, but again, so high cost that it's even hard for me to give it an A. I think it's a great inside of a sacrifice deck. I think it's like a solid B. Like it's like. It wants to be an A badly, but it's just so expensive.
Yep, 100%. I agree, because if you stick it and there's no responses, oh my goodness gracious, you are in the money. But
that's it.
Sticking it and is the first part. Here's another card that shares the character. Razaketh's Right, 5 mana. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand. Cycling of 1. So essentially, it's Diabolic Tutor for 1 more, but you're paying for the 1 black mana cycling ability. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
It's just on par with me, dude, because it's just on par with like a B or a C for me. Just like Diabolic for me is like the B. I just see this as being just equally as lackluster because of the extra, but the cycling is nice. I think the cycling is going to matter sometimes. I think more likely if you're jamming this into your deck that you're going to be cycling it every single time you see it. I think that's going to be the most likely thing you're going to do with the card.
Yeah, late game it's an epic top deck because essentially it's top decking your best card, right? And so I think that's what keeps it out of what for me. But I do see it on the same level of increasing ambition, where it's like you're paying more for an effect that you don't necessarily need, but might come in handy sometimes.
I think it's a level up from that, though. I do think it's a level up from increasing ambition. Like,
okay. But I
mean,
don't think
hard.
it's on the same tier
as
Razaketh or Diabolic Tutor, because I want to run Diabolic Tutor over it. There.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it at C. That's fine.
Tell us about Mythos of Brokos.
I do see consistency popping up. I do agree with that. Mythos of Brokos, 2 green, 2 other sorcery. If blue and black was spent to cast a spell, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. So pretty fun card here, and fits really nicely into any kind of Sultai build going on, or any kind of bug graveyard matters kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you got to get permanents with it, so I think it keeps it out of A territory for me, but it does let you, for 4 mana, essentially go get a permanent from your library, put it into your graveyard, and then return it and something else, another permanent, to your hand. So you're getting a card you've already used and has died, and you're getting a card
it is
out
very
of your
specific
library.
It's very specific to those colors, but again, Muldrotha is a very popular, archetype.
Sultai's a great build.
Yeah, it's a great build.
I feel like it's a B for me.
C or B.
You think C?
For me. Yeah.
I'm looking at it comparatively. I think it's better than Razaketh's Right, just because you are getting 2 cards for 4 mana. Because obviously you're going to build it into Sultai. And so I think I'm happy with it at B. Runescar Demon is a 7 cost, 6/6 flying demon. When it ETBs, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library.
Strong C, baby.
Oh yeah. So
Strong
if you look
C.
at
a powerful C. Great.
You get Diabolic Tutor for 4, and then you get a 6/6 flyer for 3 at the same time. If you're looking at blink strategies, if you're looking at reanimate strategies, this is wildly strong. But at the end of the day,
strategies, I do
once
agree.
It sticks, it's just a big dumb flying 6/6.
Yeah.
I'm between B and C on it. Where do you think it falls?
Excuse me. Just because we're seeing so much ETB, and I know how much people love ETBs, I think we could put it at B.
Yeah.
But again, when I said strong C, that doesn't mean I don't like the card. I actually play it in 2 of my decks, and I love it.
Exactly.
It is just expensive, and so we have to remember the casting cost of it. But yes, as soon as you stick it, and as soon as you're able to blink it once, oh yeah, the card has done great things.
Cash money. Manipulate fate.
1 blue, 1 other for sorcery. Search your library for 3 cards, remove them from the game, then shuffle your library, draw a card. So this is going to remind us a lot of the blue card earlier. What was that? Foresight?
This one over here.
Yeah, so interesting card. Again, I do like that it cantrips, which is nice, but very specific cards that you're going to be grabbing with this. So it's not unplayable, so it's not going to hit but it's not super great.
Yeah. I mean, functionally, it's the exact same card that we rated a C earlier. Looking at Planner Portal, it's a 6 mana artifact. Search your library for 6 mana and a tap. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand. So it's reusable, but to use it on the turn that it comes in, you need 12 mana. Obviously, if you're playing it, you could cheat it in. There's lots of ways to cheat in artifacts, but
I love it. I want to like it, but it's probably a dude. It really is just so mana intensive. But the thing is it's an artifact. So I think the fact that it's an artifact saves it from being a if it were a creature with this ability and it were able to just get aced by any sort of board wipe or removal spell, that would make it entirely unplayable. But I think because of that, it saves it. Just because if you do have an entirely tons of mana with nothing to do, you better be EOT tapping this thing to go search for cards.
100%. Liliana Vess is a 5 mana Planeswalker for 5 loyalty. Her +1, target player's discarding. Her -2 is what we care about. Search your library for a card, shuffle your library, put it on top. And then -8, put all creature cards in all graveyards into play under your control.
I've come to like this card so much less over the years.
Jake, me too. I loved this when we first started playing it.
But in EDH, it's just not impactful enough to just target one person down with that kind of effect. If you're playing two-headed in EDH, then great. I love target player discards a card. But the -2, just to put it on top, has become so lackluster. I just like, I would rank it at like a C, just personally.
Yeah. Essentially, you have to have... But you've got to have a draw spell, right, to really get full advantage advantage out of her ability. That -2, putting it on top, it's like you said, it's not quick enough. I mean,
like
it could come down as nothing,
and then you're able to like play it, tap top, get the card, anything like that, then sure. But for me,
I love this card. It's in my mono black deck still to this day. It's, you know, it's a C card that I play because of nostalgia, quite honestly. But yeah, combined with top, absolutely awesome. You tell us about Diabolic Revelation?
I can tell you it's one of my favorite cards that I play in Karavik EDH, just because I play so many mana rocks that sometimes I'll just take one big turn, tutor up a couple of my win cons, and go to town. If you have a lot of mana, you can do a lot of crazy stuff with this card. I would rank it at a solid B. Again, pretty mana intensive, but if you're able to go up and tutor up everything that you're looking for, then yeah, it's a really, really strong card.
So for 7 mana, you're tutoring up your 2-card win con. For 8 mana, you're tutoring up your 3-card combo to win right then or the next turn with no hand disruption. I like it at B a lot. It's very mana intensive. It's the same as Razaketh or Runescar for me. I will go back and make the note on Runescar Demon that we were talking about flicker cards with it. It does go and tutor up its own flickers, so it tutors the card that breaks it. I saw that note in chat, and I think that's a good point. But Diabolic Revelations the same way. For a lot of mana, if you're casting this for 7 or 8, you're looking up your 2-card win combo, you're looking up your 3-card win combo, and you're turning the game right there.
I think I like it just because it's got Grixis flavor text on it as well. So I'm probably the worst person to ask to evaluate this card, because I just love it so much, and I know that it's not nearly as good as I think it is. I do.
Well, no, Jake, I think it's better than you think it is, especially at high. I think at lower competition levels, in like a Power 5 or a Power 6 deck, I think this loses a lot of potency. But in like a Power 8, Power 7, Power 8 deck, this card has a lot of potential, because this is essentially, if you draw this and you have 7 or 8 mana, you're probably going to win the next turn. And so... for me, it's like B plus, A minus territory, and because of the power level of the cards that we're seeing at A, I think it lives excuse me, at B for me. Ring of 3 Wishes is a
trap.
The art is absolutely super dope. The first time I saw it, I was like, this art is awesome. Mark Winters killed it on this piece. 5 mana, enters with 3 wish counters. Remove a wish counter from it for 5 mana and a tap. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand.
Akbar. Yeah. No, it for me, it's just, again, mana intensive, and it depletes. It's just...
It's like a worse planner portal.
I would just never run it, dude. And that for me is enough to be like, I'm just not running it. Yeah. That's it. Absolutely. That's it. I just know that I'm cutting it. And that for me, the cut is a what, baby?
The cut is a what, baby?
A cut is a what? A cut is a
what? We just found that, chat. You're finding us you're watching us find a rhyming phrase in real time. A cut is a what? Scheming Symmetry. Jake, you love this card. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't evaluate the card. 1 black, Scheming Symmetry, Sorcery. Choose 2 players. Each of them search their library for a card, then shuffles their library, puts that card on top of it. It's extremely, extremely potent with Opposition Agent again. It just got a huge upgrade. The card is very strong in mill decks, because if you have any kind of mill strategy set up, you're able to search your library for a card just straight up like an Imperial Seal, and if you have a mill effect to follow it up, your opponent gets no benefit from what they just tutored. You actually get information based on, if you watch when that card is ordered and when it goes in the graveyard, what kind of card they tutored up. So you can kind of see where they're going with that. So as far as information, I think the card is the kind of card that goes up in power over time as more cards are printed. I would rank it at an easy A for me.
Yep. I'm with you on A. I think if it was 2, I think that 1 mana really punches it into A for me because of...
Oh, Jank is right. It is a politics card too, and in EDH, politics is a big deal. We should not underplay the amount of politics with the card. That being said, I still rank it at a nice A.
Grim Tutor was just reprinted in M21, 2 black, 1 other for sorcery speed. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand, shuffle your library, you lose 3 life.
It's fine. It's fine. It was scarce for a long time, but we can't let scarcity blind us and make us feel like the card is better than it is. I would rank it above Diabolic because it's a cheaper tutor that puts the card directly in hand, but it's like an A- for me.
Yeah, I think this is like a 91 on the 100-point scale, a 90 on the 100-point scale. It's like you still got an A, but you barely missed being a B. And I think that's just kind of where it falls for me because I think you're right. It's better than Diabolic Tutor. It's not as good as Limdol's Vault, but everything I'm looking at here on the B, besides maybe Revelation, it's better than. So
maybe
I really
we need a
feel
B
like
plus. Maybe we actually need an S tier, an A tier, a B plus tier, a B tier, a C tier, and then a what tier. I just think like B plus is going to be helpful to us moving forward, and maybe this will be something that we could think about. Distant Memories,
that's a good
2
note.
blue, 2 other for sorcery. Search your library for a card, exile it, then shuffle your library. Any opponent may have, you put that card in your hand. If no player does, you draw 3 cards. It's just anything that gives an opponent a choice I don't really like, but it's not awful. B for color I see popping up in there.
3 card draw. So it's either give me the card I want, or
draw 3
that
at
I want,
sorcery speed,
or draw 3 at sorcery speed. Right.
For 4.
It feels like a C for me because I just don't like giving opponents choices. Obviously, it's draw 3 for 4. That's pretty good. I mean, that's divination, quantifiable return there. But giving them the choice, for that card, it's whatever. You also play this with a card like Karn, like we were talking about. Make sure it's an artifact that you're going to go to, and you're looking at a good card that exiled. Demonic Consultation, instant speed.
It's an A or an S just because it freaking is the card that wins the game, man. It's a CEDH card, and so we have to evaluate it as such.
Yeah, I want to put it right up there next to Doomsday because it's the same point that I made about Doomsday. To a high level power game, this card is top of the pack. For a regular game of Commander, this card is garbage. And
the deck needs to be tuned for this kind of effect, and it needs to have the goal that comes with this card.
Yep.
So
that's what keeps it out of S for me.
Yeah, Dragon Ball says C, too many words on the card. Yeah, maybe so. No, but it's an absolute brutal card. Let's talk about Mengara's Tome. 5 costs for an artifact. When it comes into play, search your library and choose any 5 cards. Shuffle these cards and put them face down under Mengara's Tome. Shuffle your library afterwards. If you lose control of Mengara's Tome, remove all cards under it from the game, and you can pay 2 instead of drawing a card. Put the top card from under Mengara's Tome into your hand. I hate it, dude. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, you can find combo pieces and be like, all right, now's the time I need to draw that 1 card, or
right.
It's not completely unplayable.
I hate that you have to pay 2 for every single card. Mostly for me, it's just like I'm so hard wanting to put it at what, but I do think it's got. Oh God, it's not as good as Liliana though. It's not even as good as Increasing Ambition. Ugh, man, okay.
Just be a C minus, dude. It can be an honorary D.
Yeah,
it's honorary. A C that's an honorary D. Yeah,
honorary D. It is.
I mean, what is fine too? I find it just to be awful. So I mean, I'm fine with either one.
Gifts Ungiven is a 1 blue 3 other. You know what, Jake? a cut is a what? Mengara's Tome
That's
lives.
it. You would cut it, dude.
Right.
You would cut
Cut's a what? 1 blue, 3 other. Search your library at instant speed for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Then shuffle your library.
It's strong.
It's another one of these cards that is
and it's
got a
it
good
is
effect.
banned, isn't it? It is banned.
It is right.
It's a what? It's a what?
Right. And so, I still want to analyze the card. Right. For me, it falls on either end of the spectrum, right? Like it's incredibly powerful, or it's a what because it has to be.
If it flies too close to the sun, it's a what, dude? The problem is there's too much combo built into it.
Right. Yeah.
It's a Icarus.
All right. I don't like cards anyway that really give choices, even if it's incredibly broken and needs to be. Yeah.
It's a storm. It's a storm card. Jack Bright is right. It's a good modern card, and it is played to great effect and great success in modern. But it is a commander tier list here.
Yeah, Marilyn of the Mourn Song is a hellish card to play against. 2 black, 1 other for a 2/3 elf wizards. Players can't draw cards, and at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life, searches his or her library for a card, puts it in their hand, and shuffles their library. Obviously, the combo out of the gate is Opposition Agent. We know it's a hard lock on the table. Nobody gets cards anymore. You get all the cards. But as a playable card, where does this fall for you?
It's just the kind of thing that I think would get aced for me. I think it's like I would rank it at a B.
Yeah, it's got to be at least a B. And honestly, I think that it could be an A. But I think I'm comfortable landing it at B just because you got to build specifically for it. It's gonna draw a lot of hate. Right. I mean, the Opposition Agent combo has to be acknowledged. Obviously, we can't judge cards off of cards that they're good with completely, but I do still think that, living right there in the middle because of how much is around it needs to be acknowledged.
That's right. Next, we have Praetor's Grasp. 2 black, 1 other for sorcery. Search target opponent's library for a card and exile it face down. Then that player shuffles his or her library. You may look at and play the card for as long as it remains exiled. It's a great card. We love it. We love it forever. I would rank it at an S just because it's information in your opponent's deck. It's you get to target the right opponent that you think is going to have something that's going to benefit you just based off of their colors. I think it's a great, fun political card as well. Again, I think I'm a little bit biased, so I would rank it at an S, but I'd be comfortable putting it at an A as well.
Yeah, I'm going to temper your bias because I think you are a little biased on this one. However, I do love the card. A lot of things about the card, too. The Steve Argyle art, the casting cost is low. You can get something early that can help you ramp, like a Soul Ring. You can get something late that's going to help you win the game. It's a good card whenever you're drawing it, which I think always adds some points for me. Unlike, Razaketh, which I see a lot of people in chat trying to convince me that this is an S or an A. I just think it's too expensive to really live up in that realm, and you can tell me why I'm wrong in chat or in the comments below. But yeah, Praetor's Grasp, I like it. A. Extract is one of those weird ones. Another weird blue tutor, man. 1 blue sorcery, search target player's library for a card, remove it from the game. That player shuffles their library. I mean,
what?
This is a what for me. It's just...
it's a cut. For me, it's a cut, so it's a what.
It is like a Memoricide style effect, so if you know what you're playing against, you can go in and ace their, I'm going to give really bad examples for this, but like Hermit Druid or their Jace Wielder or their Lab Maniac, those are some bad examples of what you can go in and remove and keep them from winning. But for me, all the way down the chain for me. Tainted Pack. Jake, how do we even evaluate this? This is a CEDH finisher.
Yeah, again, it's one of those cards that, we have to evaluate it highly just because it has such good success rates. So you can't ignore success rates. You can't ignore redundancy, and the reason that people play this card along Demonic Consultation and Limdol's Vault and all of that, it's all part of the same plan. So it's all built into the same thing. So
right. I put it up here right next to Demonic Consultation and Doomsday because you're absolutely right. To a layman, this card sucks. To a strong commander deck, 9 or 10, this is a powerhouse.
I mean, there's a reason that it's a super expensive card. It's because,
100%. I want to step back just for a second and talk about Extract. This does say, Chad is talking about how this is a hate piece, not a tutor. It does say search target player's library, so you could feasibly target yourself, remove a card that you could then get from exile if you've got an effect like that. So that's why it's included in this list. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's a good question though. Anybody who's saying that or anybody who's bringing that up, that's a good note. Dark Petition, 2 black, 3 other sorcery. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Spell Mastery. If there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, add 3 black to your mana pool. I'm very medium on the card. I would rank it at above what, because it's not unplayable. It's fine.
So think about it this way. This is essentially if you've got the Spell Mastery taken care of, this is essentially a D-Tutor, right? Because it searches for a card, puts it into your hand, and it's only 2 mana because you're adding 3 mana back.
Yeah, and most likely if you built the deck correctly, you have those parameters checklisted. Again, it's I mean, people are saying it's a 2 mana tutor.
Yeah, I think I fall right in between the argument here, and this is a B, because you do have to think too. D-Tutor doesn't necessarily force you to play something that you pulled that turn or use that mana. Dark Petition is a 2 mana tutor, but you have to use that mana this turn or it's gone and you paid 5 mana to go get a card, which is a worse return than Diabolic Tutor. So, and Final Parting, you could put one in your graveyard as well. So for me, I think Dark Petition lives at B. I think it's on maybe the plus side of B, which is another argument, Jake, for your point of maybe we need to have a tier in between A and B. Maybe we just need to add D, but we'll see. Jake, look at this card. So full disclosure, everybody, I didn't play during this block, and I had no idea that Rustic Study had a sister card called Rustic Tutor. 1 mana, 2 other sorcery. Unless any player pays 2 mana, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and then shuffle your library.
It gives the opponent a choice, and so for me, it's a cut.
And the choice is nothing. How often do you have 2 mana sitting around in Commander? All the time after like turn 6.
In casual formats, if it's going to turn off a tutor, I mean, people are probably going to invest it. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a tax, but it's bad. It's bad.
No, it's not a card that we want to play. It is a cut. Let's look at Tamio's journal. No, Cruel Tutor is up next.
All right, Cruel Tutor, 1 black, 2 other. For search your deck for any card, shuffle your deck, and put that card on top of it. You lose 2 life. Sorcery. It is only even mildly playable in my opinion because it costs 3 mana. If it were 4 cost, it is just worse than so many tutors possibly. It's scarce, so there's people that like it, but I don't like it so much, man. I don't. I like the art on it. I think the art is great.
Yeah, the art is definite.
Yeah, Lack Attack has it right. Price is S.
Oh yeah, the price is an S on this one. It's putting it on top. It's sorcery speed. It's more mana than other effects that are doing this, but it still has a low CMC.
With some good notes. Good in Eureka, nowhere else. I could see that. Yeah.
It's the same thing as Liliana for me. If you've got top, then you're able to get that card that turn, and 3 mana, 2 life. Use your top. I would just rank it as a C,
dude. Like the thing is like even with, I hate to rank it lower than Diabolic.
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely. Let's move to Tamio's journal. Yep. 5 mana legendary artifact at the beginning of your upkeep. Investigate. Sacrifice 3 clues. Search your library for a card. Put that into your hand, and then shuffle your library. you will eventually get your 3 clues just from having upkeeps. You know, you can get clues from other places, and those clues are versatile. But you do.
I like
it
that
takes
once
so
you've
long
made
to get there.
I like that once you've made the mana investment of 5, it's just a matter of waiting for them to accumulate and then tapping it to get the value out of it. But you're right, it does take time. No, C is fine because it's not unplayable. It's a card that is able to be played.
You see my messages?
No, I didn't. My
I
phone.
sent you one on.
Oh, you did?
Thing there. Yeah.
Oh, you're funny.
Fun of a live stream. Let's move to Jake. Do you need to step away? Or are you good?
No, we'll just keep it going. We'll finish this up. We've got a few cards left here to talk about.
Let's look at Imperial Seal, 1 black sorcery. Search your library for any 1 card, shuffle your library, and put that card on top. You lose 2 life. So this is Cruel Tutor for 2 mana less. Do you think that being 2 mana less moves that up into B category?
Yeah, I do. I think that I actually would run Imperial Seal 100% as like an A or an S. 100%. It just has to do with that mana efficiency. So whether or not early on, no, I would move it out of B.
Yeah, we'll drop it up to S for sure. I like the mana efficiency for sure. The price on this one is an S plus.
Yeah,
it is completely based on scarcity.
Like 1 cost, the sorcery I think could hold it back from S. To be honest, like I think it's just
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think it could be an easy A. I can't rank it at anything less than A because it's a tutor that tutors for 1 mana. So
yeah. Absolutely. Masterminds Acquisition is a 4 mana sorcery. Choose 1, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, or choose a card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand. So that second mode is never going to be applicable in a game of EDH. So essentially this is a Diabolic Tutor, which means for me it sits right there.
Yeah, and I actually saw Food Time and a couple other folks that were saying that maybe Diabolic at this point, now that we're seeing how all these are shaking out, Diabolic just becomes like a C. But yeah. I do think it really does speak to like us having like a B plus category or like a B minus or some sort of C plus category or something like that. Masterminds Acquisition, it is what it is.
It's just a Diabolic Tutor, essentially, functional reprint, in Commander at least. Long-term plans is a 1 blue, 2 other instant. Search your library for a card, shuffle your library, put that card 3rd from the top.
I don't hate this card because it is like setting up for the turn that you need. And if you're running blue, then you definitely have draw spells in the deck. I think it's a fine card. It's just a little bit of a late tutor, but that instant speed can't be ignored because that's the kind of thing that EOT, you can get those long-term plans going and then going into your next turn. Whether you have like some sort of ability to scry or like move things around with the Sensei's Divining Top or something like that, I think it's a nice, strong card, and I would rank it at a B, probably A or a B.
I'm on B. I was going to see if you had any arguments for it to be an A.
Just that instant speed is really nice. Can't ignore the instant, but I think, you never know. You could probably see some insane moves with it in the right deck that runs blue. Yeah.
Yeah, so you think A?
Yeah, probably. It probably is a lot better. I've never played with the card, so I'm evaluating it at face glance, and I do think it's a good card.
Same character, different card, Parallel Thoughts, 2 blue, 3 other enchantment. When it comes into play, search your library for 7 cards, remove them from the game in a face-down pile, shuffle that pile, shuffle your library. If you would draw a card, you may instead put the top card of the pile you removed into your hand. This is essentially like a blue Doomsday for me, because you know exactly which 7 cards you're drawing next.
Yeah, we've evaluated this card before, and I think that this card is super duper strong, and you're able to, and I love enchantments. Enchantments are sticky, so once they're on the board, they're difficult to deal with. And this card is actually really, really cheap as well, and it's one of my favorite cards that came out of Scourge, and I would actually rank it, I think an A is fine.
We ranked this card in our Commander Sleeper series, actually, because it's just one of those little hidden gems that actually has a lot of viability. It's a blue. it's a blue-ish, or it's a blue Doomsday-ish card, and without, you know, any of the downside of Doomsday. And so it's a very interesting card. You tell us about Behold the Beyond?
Yeah, Behold the Beyond. Nice little expensive 2 black, 5 other sorcery. Discard your hand, search your library for 3 cards and put those cards in your hand, then shuffle your library. It's just very, very, very expensive. So,
you are getting 3 cards for 7 mana, so you're looking at a little over 2, like a 2.3 mana per card, right? But it is very, very old, very, very expensive, and so it's not something, you know, where you can go, oh well, you're getting a 2.3 mana return.
Yeah, like most likely you're not going to play any of the cards that you're tutoring up unless you have an epic crap ton of mana. So it just, for me, feels like you're taking a turn off, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
And for me, like, as far as tutors go, this is a what, honestly. Just in my opinion, it's a what. It's not absolutely unplayable, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's essential. Think about this. I mean, Diabolic Revelation is 8 mana to get 3 cards. This is 7 mana to get 3 cards. You do have to pitch your hand, but yeah. I think it keeps it out of a what. I think this is a C. It's essentially like Diabolic Revelation, which you really love, but you've got this downside of discard your hand. But at 7 mana, you know, top decking this, you're in a great situation. That's
it's not awful.
Right,
it's not
exactly.
Awful.
Gravebreaker Lamia is a 1 black 4 other lifelinking 4/4. Enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, pitch it into your graveyard, then shuffle. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Look at my grave and see that it's broken. I am a cobra.
It's nice for graveyard shenanigans. If you are looking for, if you're looking for some redundancy and you're trying to, like, I need more creatures that are going to throw creatures into my graveyard, then sure. But I think it's
So look, when I look at this card, I see a what, but the chat is absolutely right that in the deck that wants this card, it's more of like a B+ or an A. And so for me, overall ranking it, that makes it fall to a C, keeps it out of what. And, you know, it's a sweet little cobra creature that's
Muldrotha, I see what you're saying there.
Flowing.
Muldrotha loves it. It's an enchantment and a creature, so that's cute.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good note.
Yeah, it really is. Intuition's a 1 blue, 2 other instant. Search your library for any 3 cards and reveal them to target opponent. They choose 1, put that card into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, which is relevant, not exiled, and then shuffle your library afterwards. So this one feels like a solid card. It's the same kind of thing as Gravebreaker, right? In the right deck, in a Sultai Graveyard deck, this card is dope because you're going to get one of the 3 strong graveyard returnable creatures or whatever into your hand. And honestly, of the 3 that you show, you're going to get the worst of those 3 into your hand, and the 2 are going to go into your graveyard where hopefully you're going to cast them, you know, with Muldrotha or with whatever. And so
reserve list is good, man.
Oh yeah,
that's what it really comes down to.
It's got some viability. I think this
I
is
would
like
put it at an
B.
A.
Oh yeah, you think an A? Okay, I can see an A. I thought you were going to say B, so I was trying to anticipate.
Yeah, I see in chat it's a worse Gifts Ungiven, but Gifts Ungiven is, you know, the one that flew too close to the sun, so it's the playable Gifts Ungiven.
Yeah.
But it's
Insidious Dreams.
It is specific. All right, so 1 black, 3 other as an additional cost, and this is instant speed, as an additional cost to cast Insidious Dreams. Discard X cards from your hand, search your library for X cards, then shuffle your library and put those cards on top of it in any order. I hate that it puts the cards on top in any order. I have to be honest. I think I love that
it's instant speed.
Yeah, instant speed is cool because if you have, again, and we talk about graveyard synergies, but if you have cards that you need to get into your graveyard, then this card is great. But the fact that it puts the cards on top and you don't just draw them into your hand, which I know seems absolutely busted, and it is busted and it would be busted, but no, I think it's above of what. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I actually
just,
was gonna say B for this card. You think it rolls in C though?
yeah, I think it rolls as a C. It's just because you're searching for X cards, which is great, but you have to wait for them, and they
Right.
have to sit up there. So
Yep.
you could be discarding 5 cards, lining up the best 5 cards ever, but they're just going to be on top of your library. So unless you
Yeah,
have someone
exactly.
that, like, yeah.
Well, like Necropotence, does this... I would have to look at the wording on Necropotence, but does this work really well with a card like that? You know, cards like Phyrexian Arena, which you probably shouldn't be running in Commander anyway, just because the effect is so little. But, you know, you're drawing 2 at the beginning of your upkeep. It's not unheard of to run Phyrexian Arena in Commander. So, yeah, you know, it's tossing cards into your graveyard that can be used again. But your point is exactly dead on about having to pitch cards to not get cards into your hand. You know, it's kind of rough. What about Demonic Collusion? 2 black, 3 other sorcery. It's got a buyback of discarding 2 cards. You can search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library.
I actually like this. I like buyback in EDH a lot. And again, anything that you're
Buyback
trying
is
to
great.
get in your graveyard is great. This is a good card for that. If you're just trying to fill up the yard, find a card. I think it's a nice little, kind of like secret tech, nice little affordable tutor spell.
Like, this has got some...
Buyback for a B. I would do B for buyback on this one.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say it's got some decent legs in Carador. You know,
Yeah.
pitching creatures into the yard to search for any card and get this back so you can use it again. Because you don't necessarily have to buy it back the second time. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Even just being able to cast it twice is a pretty solid ability. So B for buyback, I like that. Next up, we've got old D Tutor, baby.
So this is an easy S, and let's just break it down really fast. So like Vampiric Tutor is instant speed, shuffle your instant speed, search for a card, put it on top. This is sorcery speed, 2 mana cost, straight to hand, no jumping through hoops. It's just the OG. There's a reason why it's one of the most powerful and impactful tutors in the game. There's a reason why we see it forever. I can't rank it as less than an S, because if it only cost 1, could we honestly see it possibly costing 1? Could we honestly see this being instant speed?
Oh,
it's just
right.
a perfectly balanced, fine card.
Yeah, this is the tutor of
really
tutors,
good.
baby. This is what you want. Whenever people say tutor, you're thinking of Demonic Tutor most likely. It's an S. It's fantastic. Here's Entomb, instant speed, 1 mana, search your library for a card, throw it in the graveyard, shuffle your library. For me, this is the S of from library into graveyard cards.
It is. It's
I
the
would hear
best
arguments for A, but I think it's an S because of this variation at instant speed. This has to go in S for me.
No, I can't put it at S. I would have to put it at A, just because it's contingent on anything else. Like, you have to be able to get the card out of the yard.
Okay. So
That's
A?
the only thing that holds it back from S for me. Because I do agree with you, the card is extremely strong. I can't say that Entomb isn't strong, but we have to figure out some way to do something with the card that we're putting in the yard. It's not like we can cast it with the mana that we have on the battlefield, like
true.
we can taking it into our hand.
Yeah, I can buy into that. Spoils of the Vault. Here we go. Choose a card name, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card with that name. Put that card into your hand. Exile other cards this way. You lose a life for each card exiled this way. So it's not quite on the same level as Tainted Pact or Demonic Collusion, because if you don't have life total over your library's total, you cannot use it. Right? You have to go only as deep as you can. However, you know, as like a Hail Mary, this could work. I think it could be a fun card in that regard. What do you think?
It's a Hail Mary, dude. And that holds it back from even like an A for me, honestly. Right. I get it. It's redundancy. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it lives at B just because you are burning yourself much more than Limdul's Vault, because Limdul's Vault is 1 life for every 5 cards. Spoils of the Vault is 1 life per card exiled.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't work. How about a red tutor? We haven't seen a red tutor yet in this
Here it
gamble,
is.
baby. 1 red sorcery, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, discard a card at random, and then shuffle that library.
It's everything that is great about red. It's just like the chaos and the desperation and the, we are pulling it out by the skin of our teeth. It's an A or an S for me. Like, even though the downside is just like you might discard the card that you just tutored, it's a great card. It's a sorcery speed, search your library for a card and put it in the hand for 1. We were just talking about how good Vampiric Tutor is and how good Demonic Tutor is. Right. Demonic Tutor is doing this effect for 2 mana. Red is doing it for 1, but at the cost of, hey man, you might just discard it. So if you're in top deck mode, hold it back from S for me. But all in all, I mean, it's very strong.
I want to put it at S, but I don't like that with red especially. You have the potential to get into top deck mode, and if you top deck this, you're frustrated because you're drawing and passing, and that's pretty much all you're doing. Or I would be super happy just because of the awesomeness of it to drop it into S. Tell us about Mage Ascension, if you would. We got 2 left here.
All right, 1 blue, 2 other enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you drew 2 or more cards this turn, which is easy to do in EDH, it doesn't say that on the card, but you may put a quest counter on Mage Ascension. As long as it has 6 or more quest counters on it, if you would draw a card, you may instead search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, then shuffle your library. It's an enchantment, which is really attractive to me, which is going to save it from a what and probably even a C right off the bat, just because it's sticky. It takes a little bit to turn it on, but once it's turned on, you should be in really good shape.
I mean, of the Ascensions that are playable, it's one of the hardest to turn on. Blood Chief is fairly simple to turn on. Even the Pyromancers is easier to turn on than this. But it is very breakable, and it's blue, so you're drawing 2 cards. And if you can figure out especially how to draw 2 cards on your opponent's steps, that's how you're really busting this card and breaking it wide open. And then it's got that high quest counter too. But I think it's a B for me. It's definitely solid, and if you can protect it, because it's like I'm seeing in chat right now, getting it to 6 quest counters without it getting aced is tough, especially when you're doing so much work to turn it on. And so I think it lives at C. I mean, at B, maybe C for me, but it's definitely better than, the blue stuff that we've got down here. I think it's potentially better than Tamio's Journal. I don't really know. We'd have to reassess that as we've got the whole, kit and caboodle here, but we're rolling with it in confidence. Coveted Prize is our last one we've got on our list here. 1 black, 4 other. It costs 1 less for each creature in your party, which is Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard. So it could potentially cost 1 black at sorcery speed if you've got a Cleric, a Rogue, a Warrior, and a Wizard. You search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library, and if you have a full party, you can cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less without paying.
For me, it's a
cost.
what? It's a cut. It's an easy cut, so for me, it's a what. And the reason is because the deck that I'm building this into has Clerics, Rogues, Warriors, and Wizards in it. And so for me, like, if I'm building a deck that has all of that jammed in just so that I can cast this tutor for cheap, I've probably built the deck incorrectly.
Thinking about, in black, there's way better stuff. However, even in a Cleric's deck, this is, it's just if you've got 1 tribe of those 4 in your deck, it's a Diabolic Tutor. You have to have at least 2 to really get it down into playable range. Not that it's difficult to get Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard, combination of 2 of them onto the battlefield at the same time. I think it's out of what? I think it's a C for me. Are you comfortable keeping it out of the what range? And because it is a playable card.
I would still cut it, so that's enough for me to put it at a what. But I can see how how it's further from unplayable. So that's fair.
So before we wrap it out, this was a very difficult video for us to research just because of the absolute width of the amount of cards that are included in this Find Anything. It was pointed out to me, Jake, and I think it's worth noting that Jester's Cap actually does fall into the category here that we were looking at, and so we can rank this one real fast. 4 mana artifact, 2 cost, tap it, sack it, search target player's library for 3 cards, remove them from the game, then that player shuffles his or her library. It's the same thing as those blue cards down there, except it's more expensive and it doesn't replace itself. The blue cards at least cantrip, and so I think this is a what for me, even though we neglected to find this to include it in our judgment here. I just feel like this is a what because I'm cutting it. I'm whatting it because I'm cutting it, baby.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Anyway, wanted to bring Jester's Cap in just because I did see that in chat. That is our tier list of tutors. Let's close the book. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. That was a long one. You can see above us what we filled out our tutor list with. Obviously, I think there's some of this that we would go back now that we're at the end of it, kind of reassess just based on relative power levels within the list itself. However, I'm very comfortable with this list that we came up with. I want you, though, to go down into the description, click that link, make your own, and tweet it at us at JakeJoelMTG on Twitter, because I would love to hear your reasonings as to why, you know, these 2 blue cards here are A's or B's, and we put them up there at A, while Masterminds Acquisition and Diabolic Tutor, for some reason, are sitting right below it in B. Jake, any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's great. There was a lot of tutors to go over. We did our best. There's one final giveaway, and we're not going to give you any time to get into it, other than we're just going to say, let's get the second giveaway going here. Whoever's hanging out, you're able to get into the giveaway.
Yeah, and that's for our live chat. We're going to wrap this video out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, click down there, click that like button, click that subscribe button. It really helps us out when you do that. And otherwise, I am tapped out. Jake?
That's it.